Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a show where we will provide you fresh insights into South Asia's geopolitical, strategic and security situation. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Jaish Chief Masood Azhar's public address exposes Pakistan's terror ties. Taliban's new decrees push Afghanistan deeper into darkness. And Balochistan's struggle for justice echoes on Human Rights Day. In yet another blow to Pakistan's claims of being a victim of terrorism, reports have emerged of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar addressing a large public gathering in Bahawalpur. The Ministry of External Affairs in India has strongly condemned this development, calling it a blatant example of Pakistan's duplicity in its so-called fight against terrorism. As questions mount over Islamabad's credibility, the international community is being urged to scrutinize Pakistan's harboring of UN-designated global terrorists. A report.
Pakistan has a long and well-documented history of sheltering internationally designated terrorist groups. Among the most infamous is Jaish-e-Mohammed, a group that has orchestrated deadly attacks in India, including the 2001 Parliament attack, the 2016 Pathankot Air Base attack, and the 2019 Pulwama bombing, which claimed the lives of 40 Indian paramilitary personnel. Masood Azhar, JM's founder and a UN-designated global terrorist since 2019, continues to operate freely in Pakistan. Despite Islamabad's repeated denials, credible reports confirm that Azhar has the backing of the state's powerful establishment. His recent public address in Bahawalpur, attended by a massive gathering, underscores Pakistan's continued complicity in fostering terrorism.
We demand that strong action be taken against him, that he be brought to justice. There has been denial that he is not there in Pakistan. What you are referring to, if the reports are correct, then it exposes the duplicity of Pakistan. Masood Azhar is involved in cross-border terror, attacks in India, and we want that strong action be taken against him.
Over the years, intelligence reports have highlighted the expansion of JEM's operations in Bahawalpur. The group has strengthened its infrastructure, amassed sophisticated weaponry, and continued cross-border infiltration into Jammu and Kashmir. Reports suggest the use of American-made M4 assault rifles, believed to be smuggled from Afghanistan, in attacks against Indian forces. Such activities are not possible without the tacit support of Pakistan's military and intelligence agencies. Critics argue that JEM, along with other terror outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Al-Badr, are part of Pakistan's strategy to wage a proxy war against India.
Over the last couple of years, if you see, then you'll find that the Jaish compound in Bahawalpur has expanded in size. They have multiplied their resources, assets, everything. And then finally, we come across this news of Masood Azhar appearing in a big public speech after a long hiatus, and there was a massive gathering of people. So it cannot happen without the complicity of the state in this. And then I must say that in the recent times, Jaish activities they have increased in Kashmir also. Most of a lot of infiltration is taking place from the Kathua region, from the Jammu region, which is majorly a Jaish stronghold. And you have these new proxies like a People's Anti-Fascist Force, which is called PAFF in Jammu and Kashmir. It is strongly linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed. Most of the credible intelligence input suggests that this organization is a proxy of Jaish-e-Mohammed, and they are bringing all the American weapons like M4 assault rifles left by the NATO forces in Afghanistan. So such a major spike in the activities of Jaish cadres in Jammu and Kashmir, I mean, it cannot happen without the support and assistance of the state.
Pakistan's duplicity extends beyond its borders. While it claims to fight terrorism, its actions paint a starkly different picture. Domestically, Islamabad is accused of state-sponsored atrocities in regions like Balochistan, where forced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and cultural genocide are rampant. On the global stage, Pakistan portrays itself as a victim of terrorism, blaming bad terrorists like the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan for its internal woes. However, it continues to nurture good terrorists like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba as tools to destabilize its neighbors.
As Hillary Clinton rightly said, if you nurture snakes in the backyard, they will come to bite you one fine day. So all these, jihadist extremist organizations which have percolated, penetrated, and deeply entrenched themselves in the Pakistani society, culture, and the state system. Now, the time has come that they will strike the Pakistani state also, because there's a logic to the working of these organizations. Ultimately, if you nurture these demons, you cannot escape, their spite. When it finally, they will come to destroy you, and that's what's happening with Pakistan.
Masood Azhar's resurgence not only exposes Pakistan's duplicity but also serves as a stark reminder of the global threat posed by state-sponsored terrorism. Despite international pressure, Pakistan has repeatedly failed to dismantle terror networks operating on its soil. This incident raises pressing questions. Will Pakistan finally act against Masood Azhar, or will it continue its dangerous policy of harboring terrorists? As the world demands accountability, Islamabad's credibility as a partner in the fight against terrorism hangs by a thread.
The Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan in August 2021 was accompanied by promises of reform and respect for human rights, particularly those of women. Yet, over the past 3 years, these commitments have unraveled into a stark reality of repression and regression. Far from becoming Taliban 2.0, the regime has plunged Afghan women and girls into a dystopian existence, stripping them of fundamental rights and freedoms. Now, with the recent bans on nursing education and even the act of praying aloud, the world is witnessing an unparalleled assault on women's freedoms. Let's take a closer look at the grim realities unfolding in Afghanistan. Once seen as a beacon of hope for Afghan women, nursing and midwifery programs have now become another casualty of the Taliban's oppressive regime. In a decree issued by the group's supreme leader, women are now barred from pursuing these essential healthcare professions. This decision has not only cut off an educational lifeline for women, but also threatens the country's already struggling healthcare system, leaving Afghan society more vulnerable than ever.
There have been a number of decisions that have come in recent weeks and months. One is that women will not be allowed to go out and engage even in nursing training programs, whether it is midwifery or care for people. And this is some of the, I think, one of the most empowering professions for anyone, because they are giving part of themselves, of their time, their labor for the welfare and the benefit of people outside. So this is severely constricting the right of women.
The Taliban's repression extends far beyond the realm of education, systematically dismantling women's rights and freedoms. Since assuming power on August 15, 2021, Afghanistan has faced growing concerns over human rights abuses targeting activists, former government employees, women and minorities. A recent UN report underscores the issuance of over 70 restrictive decrees by the Taliban. These include barring girls from education beyond primary school, prohibiting women from working in most professions, and restricting their access to public spaces such as parks and gyms. Increased police surveillance and harassment in public areas have further confined women, with 57% of Afghan women reporting they feel unsafe leaving their homes without a male guardian. The Taliban regime has now escalated its crackdown on women's freedoms. Recently, a new edict surfaced that forbids women from praying aloud, even in each other's presence. The justification? The Taliban claim that a woman's voice is aura, something to be concealed from public life.
They say that the voice of the woman should not be heard because the holy word of Quran should not be pronounced by them. That means it is not only they are being treated as second-class citizens, but they are being treated much worse than that. That means as far as the religion is concerned, it condemns them to a very, very low stature that even their voice cannot be heard. So I don't know whether any of this is written in the Quran, in the holy book, or not, because it has not come to light earlier. This is only coming out of the Taliban.
This systematic erasure of women is not only a human rights crisis, but also an economic disaster. Women represent nearly half of Afghanistan's potential workforce. By sidelining them, the Taliban are crippling the nation's economic recovery and growth. Experts warn that no country can prosper while excluding half its population from contributing to society. The implications are dire, not just for Afghan women, but for the country's future.
Just taking only the economic aspects also, when you are not utilizing 50% of the capacity of your workforce, that means obviously the manner in which you will be able to evolve and the manner in which you will be able to develop will be very suboptimal. I think if you look around the world, no country in the world has been able to develop and grow and prosperous without using the women power that is available to them, without using the capacity of all women who are available in their workforce. So here, by cloistering all the women in their homes, not allowing them to get out, not allowing them to study, not allowing them to get any skills, I think they are shooting themselves in the foot.
The global community remains largely united in condemning the Taliban's actions. No country has formally recognized their government, yet economic and political engagements with the regime continue. Women's rights activists are calling for stricter international pressure, urging governments and organizations to tie any engagement with Afghanistan to the restorations of women's rights. Without such conditions, Afghan women face an increasingly bleak future. On World Human Rights Day, the Baloch Yagjati Committee brought global attention to the ongoing war crimes in Balochistan with a powerful documentary urging the world to recognize the suffering of the Baloch people. In tandem with the documentary, peace walks were also held across the region to amplify the call for justice, dignity and rights. Activists like Maharang Baloch are at the forefront, tirelessly advocating for the Baloch cause, urging the international community to take action against the systematic oppression in Pakistan's largest and most impoverished province. A report.
Every year on December 10th, the world commemorates Human Rights Day, a day to reflect on the progress made and the challenges that remain.
On World's Human Rights Day, the Baloch Yagjati Committee, an organization dedicated to advocating for the rights of the Baloch people, released a powerful documentary report shedding light on the ongoing war crimes in Pakistan's largest and most impoverished province. The report urged viewers to watch, share, and stand in solidarity with the fight for human rights, emphasizing the importance of raising awareness and supporting justice for all people everywhere. Moreover, on World Human Rights Day, the Baloch Jagjati Committee organized peace walks in different parts of Balochistan to amplify the call for dignity, rights, and justice for the Baloch people. These events aim to raise awareness and strengthen the movement for human rights and equality. Human rights organizations and advocacy groups in Balochistan are working tirelessly to make the world hear the voices of their suffering. Activists like Maharang Baloch have been persistently using every platform available to garner global support, striving to give the Baloch people the strength they need to break the shackles of violence, slavery, and discrimination.
I am Marang Baloch. I offer my sincere gratitude to the compassionate people all around the world. In dark times, the miracle that saves the world to act, and in this critical moment, we must not opt for a better future, but to act courageously against all oppression for a future where Baloch can live with peace. Let me remind you, this is the time to act. Don't let Baloch people to fight this systemic oppression alone.
In the harsh landscapes of Balochistan, many families live with deep sadness, trapped in a silence that haunts them. For years, the cries of those who have disappeared without a trace have filled the air as sons, fathers, brothers, and husbands vanish, leaving the families in a constant state of worry and fear. But these families refuse to stay quiet. They have taken to the streets, turning their grief into a powerful demand for answers. Holding placards that speak of their love, pain, and search for the truth, they march through their broken lands, their voices loud and clear. Where are they? The placards shout, each one a desperate plea for the return of their loved ones taken by unknown forces. These protests are not just about the missing, but about dignity, the right to know what happened, and the truth that has been hidden for too long.
I am in pain right now to share that my brother Duda Hilai and his friends Mehraj Shad, Gamshad Baloch, Muzammil Baloch and Ismail Ibrahim were forcibly disappeared from Karachi last night. I respectfully request your support in demanding their safe return and justice. Tomorrow we will be launching a campaign to raise the awareness about their disappearance and urge for their release. Kindly join us.
With every march and every sign raised, there's still hope that one day the silence will end and the truth will finally come to light. However, this hope is rarely fulfilled. The families of the disappeared continue to face a relentless battle against a system that remains largely indifferent to their cries. The Pakistan military and intelligence agencies are widely accused of being involved in the forced abductions of Baloch youths, targeting those who are seen as descendants or threats to the state's control over the region. These young men, often activists, students, or individuals simply vocal in their support for Balochistan's autonomy, are taken in the dead of night, their whereabouts unknown, leaving their families in an agonizing limbo. Moving on. Residents in the Pakistan-occupied region of Jammu and Kashmir are once again bearing the brunt of an oppressive administration as the government attempts to crush basic freedoms. A controversial ordinance aimed at curbing public protests sparked massive outrage, leading to widespread demonstrations across the region. The government, unable to withstand the growing public dissent, has now been forced to withdraw the ordinance. However, the incident highlights yet another failure of the puppet administration in addressing the needs of its people.
The region came to a standstill as residents launched a complete shutdown and wheel jam strike in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, forcing the government to repeal a controversial presidential ordinance. The law, which required prior government permission for public protests, was widely criticized as a blatant attack on freedom of expression. Massive demonstrations erupted across POJK, with protesters raising slogans against the administration's authoritarian policies. Sensing the mounting public anger, President Barrister Sultan Mahmud announced the withdrawal of the ordinance. Formal negotiations followed, culminating in a written agreement between officials and protest leaders.
मैं मुबारकबाद पेश करता हूँ मरकजी अंजुमन ताइजरान के चेयरमैन शौकत नवाज मीर और जम्मू कश्मीर अवामी एक्शन कमेटी के सपूतों को जिन्होंने पूरे खत्ते के अंदर अवाम को बेदार किया और वो अवाम जो आज मुबारकबाद के मुस्तहिक है जिन्होंने रियासत के वसाइलों पर जिन्होंने रियासत को जरगमाल बना के सियासतदानों और ब्यूरोक्रेटों को आज मुकम्मल तौर पर जवाब दिया आज मुकम्मल तौर पर इस चीज़ का साबित कर दिया कि आज़ाद कश्मीर की रियासत इसका अपना कानून है इसका अपना एक सिस्टम है.
The government initially justified the ordinance under the guise of security concerns, with POJK Prime Minister Anwarul Haq claiming it was necessary to prevent potential terror activities and ensure public safety. However, reports suggest the protests were about more than just the ordinance. Protesters demanded justice for victims of past government brutality, including the May 13 firing incident, and called for the withdrawal of fabricated cases against activists. Despite its strategic importance, POJK has long been neglected by the Pakistani state. Its residents face systemic oppression with their rights, needs, and aspirations routinely ignored. The ordinance was yet another attempt by the administration to stifle dissent and consolidate control over an already marginalized population.
हमारा अलमिया क्या है कि शायद हम सदाती ऑर्डिनेंस को ज़ेरे बहस लाके हैं दर्द कोई और दूर करना चाह रहे हैं. अगर सदाती ऑर्डिनेंस का दर्द हो तो ये मुजफ्फराबाद शहर मौजूद है ना. आपने जो मुजाहरा करना है ये आज भी कुछ बच्चों ने किया है क्या करवाइए. हम तो सिर्फ ये यकीनी बनाना चाहते हैं कि आप एहतजाज करने से पहले मुतल्लिका इंतज़ामिया को बदरिया दरख्वास्त बता दें. आप आगे पीछे आप देखें कि आपका एनवायरनमेंट इस वक्त क्या बना हुआ. खुदा ना खास्ता एहतजाजी मुजाहिरीन के अंदर को जाके कोई दहशतगर्दी की वारदात हो जाए तो सबसे पहला इल्ज़ाम किस पर आएगा? मौजूदा हुकूमत पर कि जी मुजाहिरीन के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ का बंदोबस्त नहीं किया जा सका. हमने तो सिर्फ ये कहा है कि सारी शहरी आज़ादियों को कायम रखें जिनमें मरीज़ हैं मुसाफिर हैं जिनमें स्टूडेंट्स हैं कारोबारी हज़रात हैं और उसके बाद आप भी एहतजाज करें.
The people of POJK, however, see through the administration's hollow justifications. The ordinance, labelled as a security measure, was widely viewed as an attempt to crush the voices of an already oppressed population. The protests and their success in forcing the government to repeal the ordinance underscore the growing unrest among the people of POJK, who are fed up with the oppressive and incompetent puppet regime installed by Pakistan. These incidents highlight the glaring administrative failures and the double standards of Pakistan's policies in its occupied territories. With tensions running high, it remains to be seen whether the region will witness another wave of massive protests against Pakistan's stooge government in the near future.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We'll be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.